In 2018, I bought a cheap house in a small town in Pennsylvania. Too cheap. At the time, I thought I was lucky. Now I know the truth. Some houses are cheap for a reason. The house stood at the end of a quiet street. Old, 2 floors, paint peeling from the walls. But structurally solid. At least, that's what the real estate agent said. Previous owner died, he told me casually. Natural causes. I didn't ask many questions. People die in houses all the time. That didn't bother me. The first strange thing happened the night I moved in. I was unpacking boxes when I noticed something odd. There was a key hanging on a nail in the kitchen. Just one key. Old, rusty. A small tag hung from it. Written in faded ink were 2 words. Basement door. I frowned. There was no basement door in the house. At least, none that I had seen. Still, I put the key in my pocket. I figured I would find the door later. That night I fell asleep on the living room couch. The house was quiet, almost too quiet, the kind of silence that makes you aware of every little sound. At around 2:40 a.m., I woke up. Not from a noise, from a feeling, like someone was standing in the room, watching me. I slowly opened my eyes. The living room was dark. But something had changed. The air felt colder, much colder. Then I heard it, a sound from somewhere in the house. A slow dragging noise, like something heavy being pulled across the floor. Scrrrrrrrr. Pause. Scrrrrrrr. My heart started racing. The sound was coming from the kitchen. I sat up slowly. Hello? I called. No answer. The dragging stopped. For a few seconds the house was silent again. Then a voice whispered, soft, barely audible, "You took my house?" I froze. My blood ran cold. "Who's there?" I shouted. No response. Just silence. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. Then I slowly walked into the kitchen. The beam of light moved across the room. Table, chairs, empty floor, nothing there. But the key on the nail was gone. My stomach dropped. I was sure I had left it there. But now the nail was empty. Then I looked down. The basement key was lying on the floor, right in the center of the kitchen. And something else had appeared. A thin line scratched into the wood floor. The line continued across the kitchen, toward the far wall. I followed it with the flashlight, my hands shaking. The scratch marks stopped at a spot near the refrigerator. Then I saw it. A faint outline in the floor. A rectangular shape, hidden beneath the wood panels. A trapdoor. The basement door. My hand slowly reached into my pocket. The key was cold, ice cold. Behind me, the whisper returned, closer this time, right next to my ear. "You shouldn't have come here." Then the trapdoor handle slowly lifted on its own. And something in the darkness below started climbing the stairs. The trapdoor opened slowly. The wooden panels creaked as if they hadn't moved in years. Dust fell into the darkness below. My flashlight trembled in my hand. The stairs beneath the door disappeared into complete blackness. I couldn't see the bottom. Just an endless tunnel of darkness. Cold air poured out of the opening. The smell was awful. Wet earth, rotting wood, something older. Then I heard it, a slow movement from below. Something shifting in the dark. Step, silence, step. My chest tightened. Something was coming up the stairs. I backed away from the trapdoor. My flashlight beam shook violently across the kitchen walls. "Hello?" I said again. My voice sounded weak, small. The movement stopped. The silence that followed felt even worse. Like something was listening, waiting. Then the whisper came again. This time from the basement. Deep, angry. "You're not him?" A chill ran down my spine. Not him? What did that mean? The floor creaked behind me. I spun around. Nothing. Just the empty kitchen. When I turned back to the trapdoor, something had changed. A hand was gripping the edge of the opening. My flashlight landed on it. The skin was gray, thin, like dried paper. The fingers were too long. And the nails were black. The hand slowly pulled itself higher. Another hand appeared. Then a head. The thing crawling out of the basement looked human. But only barely. Its body was twisted. Its spine bent at a strange angle. Its eyes were completely white. It looked at me and smiled. The smile stretched too wide. Far too wide. Not him, it whispered again. My legs finally moved. I ran. I bolted out of the kitchen and into the living room. My heart pounded so hard I could barely breathe. Behind me I heard the sound of something dragging itself across the floor. Fast. Much faster than before. Scrrrrrrrr. Scrrrrrrr. It was following me. I slammed the front door open and ran outside into the cold night air. The street was empty. Completely silent. I didn't stop running until I reached the end of the block. Only then did I look back. The house stood exactly where I left it. Dark. Still. Normal. The front door was closed. I knew I had left it open. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. A message from an unknown number. Just one sentence. You should not have opened the basement. Another message appeared immediately after. He's still looking for the man who killed him. My stomach dropped. Before I could respond, a third message arrived. And he thinks it's you. Then the streetlight above me flickered. And from inside the dark house at the end of the street, I saw a pale figure standing in the window. The pale figure in the window didn't move. It just stood there, watching me. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. The street around me was silent. No cars. No people. Just the cold wind moving through the empty road. The figure in the window slowly raised its head. The same twisted smile. The same white eyes. I stepped backward. One step. Then another. But the thing in the window didn't move. It just watched. Like it knew I couldn't escape. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Same unknown number. You need to leave town. I typed quickly. Who is this? The reply came instantly. Someone who knows what lives in that house. I stared back at the window. The figure was gone. Just darkness behind the glass. What is that thing? I typed. 3 dots appeared on the screen. Then the reply came. His name was Arthur Bell. The wind grew stronger around me. Cold. Unnaturally cold. Another message appeared. Arthur Bell was the previous owner of that house. My stomach tightened. The real estate agent said the previous owner died of natural causes. But something about that story never felt right. How did he die? I asked. There was a longer pause this time. Almost a full minute. Then the phone buzzed again. He was murdered. My chest went cold. Murdered? The next message appeared slowly. 20 years ago. The streetlight above me flickered again. The wind stopped suddenly. Everything felt wrong. Another message appeared. Arthur Bell rented out the basement. I frowned. Who rents a basement? The next message answered that question. No one in town knew about it. My throat went dry. But one day the tenant disappeared. The wind started again. But now it sounded different. Like a whisper moving through the trees. Another message appeared. The police came to investigate. My hands were shaking now. And they found something in the basement. I didn't want to read the next message. But it arrived anyway. They found the body. My heart skipped a beat. The tenant had been dead for weeks. The wind stopped again. Complete silence. Another message appeared. And Arthur Bell was sitting next to the body. I swallowed. Hard. What happened to him? I typed. The reply came slowly. Arthur said the tenant wouldn't stop screaming. A long pause. Then the final message appeared. So he locked him in the basement. The cold feeling returned to my chest. But the tenant didn't die right away. I looked up at the house again. The window was empty. Dark. Still. My phone buzzed one more time. They say the tenant starved down there. My hands started shaking again. And before he died, the typing stopped. For several seconds nothing happened. Then the final message arrived. He promised revenge. At that exact moment, the front door of the house slowly opened. By itself. And from the darkness inside, a voice whispered across the street. Arthur? Then the voice changed. Cold. Angry. I found you. My blood froze. Because the voice wasn't looking for Arthur Bell anymore. It was looking at me. Watching me. The front door of the house stood open. The wind slowly pushed it back and forth. Creak, creak. The voice from inside the house spoke again. Low, broken, filled with something far worse than anger. Arthur? My heart pounded in my chest. I'm not Arthur, I shouted across the street. My voice echoed through the empty road. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the whisper came again. Slower this time. You sound different? The air around me suddenly felt heavy. Like the night itself was holding its breath. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. Do not answer it, I typed back quickly. It thinks I'm Arthur. The reply came instantly. I know. I stared at the message. Then why is it after me? 3 dots appeared. Then the next message arrived. Because you're living in his house. My stomach dropped. The voice from inside the house whispered again. Closer now. Arthur, come home? A shape moved in the doorway. Slowly crawling across the floor. Dragging itself toward the porch. The thing from the basement. My flashlight beam caught its face. The same pale skin. The same twisted smile. The same empty white eyes. But now I noticed something new. Its mouth was moving strangely. Like it was chewing something invisible. Hungry, it whispered. My body froze. The creature slowly dragged itself across the porch. Its arms stretched unnaturally long. Its fingers scraping against the wood. SCRRRRRR. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Listen carefully. I read the next line. The tenant who died in that basement. Another message followed. His name was Daniel Carter. My breath stopped. My name. I stared at the phone. Then at the creature crawling toward the street. Daniel, it whispered. My blood ran cold. It wasn't looking for Arthur anymore. It knew who I was. My phone buzzed again. Now you understand. My fingers trembled. Understand what? The reply came slowly. The tenant wasn't looking for Arthur Bell. The creature lifted its head toward me. Its smile widened. Daniel? My phone vibrated again. One final message. It was looking for you. The creature suddenly stopped crawling. Its white eyes locked onto mine. And for the first time, it stood up. Bones cracked. Limbs twisted into place. Its body stretched upright. Taller. Much taller than a human. Then it took its first step into the street. Toward me. 20 years, it whispered. I waited. My legs refused to move. My mind racing. Trying to understand. But the thing walking toward me already knew the truth. Because somehow, somewhere, 20 years ago, I had killed it, and now it had come back. The creature stepped into the street. Slowly, its joints cracked with every movement. Like bones that had forgotten how to walk. 20 years, it whispered again. I waited. My mind was spinning. I didn't kill you, I said. My voice sounded weak, even to me. The creature tilted its head. Its white eyes staring into mine. You locked the door? My chest tightened. What are you talking about? The creature took another step closer. Its long arms hanging loosely at its sides. Its fingers dragging across the pavement. Basement, dark, hungry. My phone buzzed again. The unknown number. Another message. You need to leave now. My fingers trembled as I typed. It says I locked it in the basement. The reply came immediately. You did. My heart skipped a beat. What? Another message appeared. 20 years ago. My head started to spin. That's impossible. 20 years ago I was only a kid. Another message arrived. You lived in that house. Cold spread through my chest. Your father owned it. The street suddenly felt much darker. Much colder. Another message appeared. Your father was Arthur Bell. My breathing stopped. Arthur Bell. The previous owner. The man who died in the house. My hands started shaking. No, that's not possible. My last name wasn't Bell. My parents never mentioned that house. The creature was only a few steps away now. Its mouth stretched into that awful smile again. You were small, it whispered. But you remember? My head started to ache. A strange pressure behind my eyes. like something inside my mind was trying to break free. A flash of memory hit me. Suddenly, violently. A basement. Dark. Cold. A man screaming. The memory vanished just as quickly. I grabbed my head. What is happening to me? My phone buzzed again. Another message. Your father changed your name. Another message followed immediately. After the murder. My heart pounded. He told everyone the tenant attacked him. Another message appeared, but that wasn't true. The creature stopped walking. Only a few feet away now. Its white eyes staring into mine. You remember, it whispered again. Another flash hit my mind. Stronger this time. I was standing at the top of basement stairs. A man below me. Begging. Crying. Please, open the door? Then another voice. My father. Angry. Panicked. Lock it. The memory shattered through my mind. Dad, he's still alive? My father's voice again. Cold. Terrified. Lock the door. I felt the key in my hand. The basement door slamming shut. The sound of a lock turning. And the screaming. The memory ended. I collapsed to my knees in the street. My entire body shaking. No. The creature stepped closer. Right in front of me now. You locked it, it whispered. And left. Tears filled my eyes. I was a child. The creature slowly leaned closer. Its pale face inches from mine. But I was still alive. The wind stopped. The streetlights flickered. The world around us felt frozen in time. My phone buzzed one last time. The final message appeared. Now you know why he came back. The creature's mouth stretched into an impossible smile. I came for the last tenant. And slowly, it reached out its hand toward me. The creature's hand stopped inches from my face. Long fingers. Gray skin. Black nails. The smell of wet earth and rot drifted from its body. 20 years, it whispered. I waited in the dark. My entire body trembled. I was a kid, I said again. I didn't know. The creature leaned closer. Its white eyes never blinking. You heard me? Begging. My throat tightened. Another flash of memory hit me. The basement door. My hand holding the key. The man below screaming. Please, please open the door. My younger voice. Small. Scared. Dad, he's still alive? Then the sound of the lock turning. The screaming becoming louder. Desperate. Then silence. I snapped back to the present. My chest felt tight, like the air was being crushed out of my lungs. I didn't mean to kill you, I whispered. The creature stared at me for a long moment. Then it spoke again. I know. The answer shocked me. You know? The creature slowly lifted its head toward the dark house behind me. Your father, Arthur? He locked me there. Cold spread through my body. My father did it. The creature nodded slowly. But you turned the key? My stomach twisted. Because that part was true. The creature's voice grew colder. And you walked away? The wind returned. The streetlights flickered violently. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. Ask him what he wants. My fingers trembled. What do you want? I asked the creature. It was silent for several seconds. The longest silence of the night. Then it whispered one word. Justice? The air around us grew colder. Arthur escaped. He died peacefully. The creature's voice cracked, like something inside it was breaking. I died hungry? Alone? In the dark? My chest felt heavy. The guilt inside me growing stronger. So what happens now? I asked quietly. The creature slowly turned its white eyes back to me. The debt must be paid. My heart stopped. What debt? The creature pointed toward the house. Its long finger shaking slightly. The last tenant? Must take my place? A cold realization hit me. You want me to go into the basement? The creature nodded. 20 years? My turn is over. My blood ran cold. Now it is yours. The wind roared through the empty street. The house behind me creaked loudly. The basement door inside slowly slammed shut. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Don't do it. Another message appeared. If you go down there. My breath stopped. The final message appeared. You will never come back. The creature leaned closer. Its whisper barely audible. Your father escaped? But you won't. The front door of the house slowly opened again. Darkness filling the hallway inside. The basement was waiting. And this time, it was waiting for me. The front door of the house stood open again. Darkness filled the hallway. The kind of darkness that felt alive. Waiting. The creature stepped aside, slowly, like it was giving me permission to enter. Your turn, it whispered. My chest tightened. I'm not going down there, I said. But even as I said the words, something inside the house moved. A faint sound. From deep below the floor. Knock. My heart stopped. Another knock came. Slower this time. Knock, knock. My hands began to shake. Do you hear that? I whispered. The creature nodded slowly. Someone else. My stomach twisted. What do you mean someone else? The creature turned its white eyes toward the house. Its voice barely audible. The basement is never empty. Cold ran down my spine. What? Another knock echoed from inside the house. Louder this time. Knock. My phone buzzed again. Another message. You hear it, don't you? I typed quickly. Yes. The reply came immediately. Then it's too late. My chest tightened. What's too late? Another message appeared. The basement door has opened again. I stared at the dark house. The hallway inside looked deeper now. Longer. Like the house itself had stretched. Another knock echoed from below. But this time, there was a voice with it. Very faint. Very weak. Hello? My entire body froze. Someone was down there. Alive. I slowly turned to the creature. You hear that? It nodded again. Slowly. Yes? My throat felt dry. Who is that? The creature looked directly into my eyes. The next tenant? My blood went cold. What? The creature lifted its long finger and pointed toward the house again. Someone must always be there. Another knock came from the basement. More desperate this time. Knock knock. Please, let me out? The voice was weak. Terrified. My heart pounded. That person is alive. The creature slowly tilted its head. For now. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Do not go inside. Another message followed. That's how it traps you. My chest felt tight. What do you mean trap me? The final message appeared. Because the person knocking. My breath stopped as I read the next line. Isn't real. The knocking stopped. Total silence. Then suddenly, the voice from the basement screamed. Help me. The sound echoed through the entire house. Through the empty street. Through my head. I stepped toward the door without thinking. One step. Then another. The creature watched silently. Its twisted smile returning. Everyone goes inside. I stopped in the doorway. The darkness inside the house felt thick. Heavy. Like walking into deep water. Then the basement door inside the kitchen slowly creaked open. By itself. From below, the voice whispered again. Much closer this time. Daniel? My blood froze. Because the voice in the basement sounded exactly like mine. The voice from the basement spoke again. Soft. Weak. But unmistakable. Daniel? My entire body froze. It was my voice. Exactly my voice. I stepped back from the doorway. No. The creature standing beside the porch watched me closely. Its twisted smile slowly widening. Everyone hears themselves, it whispered. My heart pounded in my chest. What do you mean? The creature's white eyes never left mine. The basement learns your voice. Cold spread through my body. It knows your guilt. Another voice echoed from below. Louder now. Panicked. Please, help me. My hands began to shake. That's impossible, I whispered. The creature nodded slowly. But you still want to help. My phone buzzed again. Another message. You're hearing the trap. Another message appeared. It copies the voice of the person it wants. My throat felt dry. What is it? I typed. The reply came slowly. The basement. I stared at the screen. What do you mean the basement? 3 dots appeared again. Then the message arrived. Arthur Bell didn't lock people down there. My chest tightened. He was feeding it. A cold wave moved through my body. Feeding what? The voice in the basement screamed again. This time much louder. Daniel, please. My legs moved without thinking. One step inside the house. The floor creaked under my weight. The air inside smelled like dust and old wood. Exactly the same as the night I first moved in. Behind me, the creature whispered softly. You see now? I turned slowly. What? The creature pointed toward the kitchen. Arthur knew. The basement door inside the kitchen suddenly slammed open. Bang! Darkness poured out from the stairway. Thick, heavy, almost like smoke. The creature continued speaking. It wakes every few years. The voice from the basement became desperate. Please don't leave me. My hands covered my ears. But the voice sounded exactly like mine. Exactly like my own panic. The creature finished its sentence. And it needs someone to replace the last one. My blood ran cold. You mean, you? The creature nodded slowly. 20 years. I fed it my fear. My hunger. My pain. The darkness in the basement shifted. Something moved deep below the stairs. Something large. Something breathing. Inhale. Exhale. The sound echoed up through the kitchen. Through the entire house. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Now you know the truth. My fingers trembled. The tenant didn't come back for revenge. My heart pounded. Then why is he here? The final message appeared. He came back to warn you. The creature slowly turned its head toward the basement. Its voice barely a whisper now. It's awake again. The breathing from below became louder. Much louder. The floor trembled slightly. The darkness on the stairs moved. And something enormous shifted deep beneath the house. To be continued? 9. The Last Tenant. K-Thu Na Kuoi Kung. Episode 9. What Lives Below. The breathing from the basement grew louder. Slow. Heavy. Like something massive was waking up after a very long sleep. Inhale. The floorboards in the kitchen creaked. Exhale. The walls of the house groaned quietly. My heart pounded. That's not a person, I whispered. The creature standing behind me shook its head slowly. No. Its voice sounded tired now. Almost relieved. That is the house. A cold wave ran down my spine. The house? The creature nodded again. It lives under it. The breathing continued. Stronger now. The air inside the house seemed to move with every breath. My phone buzzed again. Another message. You hear it now. My fingers trembled as I typed. What is that thing? The reply came slowly. No one knows. Another message appeared. The first house on that land burned down in 1893. My chest tightened. They rebuilt it. Another message. Then people started disappearing. The breathing from the basement grew deeper. Like lungs the size of a building filling with air. Inhale. Dust fell from the ceiling. Exhale. The kitchen cabinets rattled softly. Another message arrived. Arthur Bell discovered it first. I looked toward the creature. You mean my father? The creature nodded slowly. He heard it breathing. Another memory flashed through my mind. A younger version of my father standing in the basement. Listening. Terrified. My phone buzzed again. At first he tried to leave. Another message appeared, but the breathing followed him. My heart skipped a beat. What? The next message arrived. He realized something terrible. The breathing from below suddenly grew louder. Almost like the thing under the house was listening to us. Inhale. The lights flickered. Exhale. The floor trembled again. The final message appeared. It only sleeps when someone is down there. My blood ran cold. So he fed it. The creature nodded. Tenants? Drifters? People no one would miss. My stomach twisted. That's horrible. The creature looked toward the basement again. Its voice quiet, but it kept the town alive. I stared at it. What do you mean? The creature's white eyes met mine. When no one is down there. The breathing suddenly stopped. Complete silence. The entire house froze. Then the creature finished the sentence. It comes up. The darkness inside the basement shifted violently. Something large moved beneath the stairs. The breathing returned, but now it sounded different. Faster. Hungrier. My phone buzzed again. One last message. If no one goes down there tonight. I held my breath as the final words appeared. It will come out. The basement door slammed against the wall. Bang. A deep sound echoed from the darkness below. Not breathing. Something else. A voice. Ancient. Massive. Hungry? The creature beside me stepped backward. Fear filling its pale face. It's awake, and something enormous began climbing the stairs. The sound from the basement was no longer just breathing. Something was climbing the stairs. Slow. Heavy. Each step made the entire house tremble. Thud. Dust fell from the ceiling. Thud. The kitchen table shook. The creature beside the door stepped back in fear. For the first time since I saw it, it looked truly terrified. Too late, it whispered. My chest tightened. What happens if it comes out? The creature slowly turned its pale face toward me. Its white eyes shaking. Everything dies. The basement stairs groaned under the weight of something enormous. Wood cracked. Something massive scraped against the walls below. My phone buzzed again. One last message. There is only one way to stop it. My hands trembled. I already know, I whispered. The creature nodded slowly. Someone must stay. The darkness in the basement shifted. A giant shadow moved just below the top step. Something too large for the stairway. Something trying to squeeze through. The breathing returned, but now it was much faster. Much hungrier. Inhale. The entire house pulled inward. Exhale. The walls shook violently. My phone vibrated again. The final message appeared. If someone goes down there. Another message followed. It goes back to sleep. I closed my eyes for a moment. My heart felt heavy, but the truth was clear now. For 20 years, that creature had suffered down there. Alone. Hungry. Afraid. Just to keep this thing asleep. Now it was my turn. I looked at the creature. You came back to warn me. It nodded slowly. I hoped you would run. I looked back at the open basement door. Darkness filled the stairway. Cold air rising from below. But if I run, I said quietly, it follows. The creature didn't answer. Because we both knew the truth. The thing below the house was already waking up. Another massive thud shook the staircase. Something enormous pushed against the walls below, trying to reach the surface. I took a deep breath, then stepped into the kitchen. The creature didn't try to stop me. It only watched silently. I'm sorry, it whispered. I stopped at the top of the basement stairs. The darkness below felt endless, like staring into the mouth of something alive. I turned the light on my phone toward the stairs. The steps were covered in deep scratch marks. Claw marks. Hundreds of them. From years of people trying to climb back out. My chest tightened, but I stepped down anyway. One step, then another. Behind me, the basement door slowly began to close. The creature's voice echoed from upstairs. Fading. Thank you. The door shut. Click. The breathing below me changed instantly. Slower. Calmer. Satisfied. I sat on the cold basement floor. The darkness surrounding me completely. Above me, the house became silent again. And somewhere deep beneath the earth, the thing below the house finally fell asleep. Days later, the house looked normal again. Quiet. Peaceful. A for sale sign stood in the front yard. Waiting. Weeks passed. Eventually, someone new bought the house. A young man, excited about the cheap price. On the first night in his new home, he noticed something strange, a rusty key hanging on a nail in the kitchen. A small tag attached to it. 2 faded words written in ink. Basement door. And from somewhere deep under the floor, something breathed slowly in the dark. Inhale. Exhale. Because every house needs a tenant. And now, the basement had a new one.